I heard once, I'm not sure where, but it said that there really are only two emotions.
Wow.
Love and fear.
Wow.
I always thought it would be love and hate, one or the other. But where does hate stem from?
From fear.
Fear.
I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katy Sudano.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
And I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse.
Welcome to Voice Up for the Voiceless. If you're tuning in with us for the first time, we welcome you. We cover a very difficult subject of child sexual abuse. We hope that we're a voice for survivors. We hope that we can bring some valuable information around the topic and the issue by interviewing experts in the field. And as survivors, Katy and I know very well what survivors have to go through in their healing journey.
Yeah. And of course, as always, we hope that you enjoy our shows. And if you have any suggestions or anyone that you know that would want to listen or learn or even be on our show, feel free to contact us at voiceupforthevoiceless.com/contact us. And but I had an announcement. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, it is Valentine's Day, as we have thrown
absolutely.
up all over our set with hearts and love and
I like
Valentine's. I love Valentine's.
I do too. I know it's kind of a pagan thing, but who cares? Like it's all about the family for us. It's not like my husband and I don't go out and do our very expensive, very bad customer service night that you have to wait 2 hours to get.
It is the worst night of the year to go have dinner.
Years ago, we decided we're never going to do that again. And if you know my story, I had a child with a first marriage, so we've always had a kid. So we felt really bad on Valentine's Day. We're like, this should be a family thing. So ever since that, after that horrible first experience, we decided that we would, for whatever reason, order sushi, eat sushi on the floor. We'd have chocolate-covered strawberries, champagne for us, and then some sparkling soda or whatever for the kids. And we would all watch a movie and sit around on the floor. And we have done that every year since.
So what time should I be over?
Yeah, you can. But what's
fun.
great is that the kids... I thought for sure as they got older, they would think it was dumb or not want to participate. I heard the kids talking just the other day. They're like, man, Christmas and New Year's was so much fun, but we can't wait for our favorite holiday. And I'm like, favorite holiday? What is that? And they're like, we can't wait to do our Valentine's tradition. So I thought that was really sweet because, having adult children and still knowing that they're telling their boyfriends, oh, no, you got to come over. We're doing Valentine's with the parents,
family.
with the parents.
How fun.
How fun.
I just remember as a little girl filling out the little paper Valentines. Remember? To and from.
Yeah, I wasn't in the States all the time, but I remember when I was. Yeah, I remember doing that.
And then going to school and giving out your Valentines and then seeing how many Valentines that you got.
Did you have to do that little mailbox thing too?
Don't remember that. I remember I used to love getting the box of hearts that had little messages on them.
Yeah.
You should have had some of those on our set. That would have been fun.
I don't know. They're probably selling them now. Yeah.
Well,
but those are cute. Yeah, those are yummy too.
Yeah. So for our audience, we really wanted to dive deep into the issue of love today. Valentine's is upon us, and it is a day that we celebrate love. But for those that have been sexually abused as children, sometimes we have a very difficult time knowing what love is. We have a difficult time loving others because sometimes we may have walls built up, or the opposite. We may want love so desperately we don't have any boundaries, or maybe we have a difficult time even loving ourselves because of the abuse. So we just wanted to
it stems, doesn't that start there and then it kind of trickles into everything
else.
Yeah.
It's what we often talk about. Survivors have a lot of challenges to overcome that trauma and overcome that abuse.
Yeah.
But we've decorated for love. We have experienced great love in our own lives, and I thought the first place we could start was with what God says love is.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I have quite a long verse I'm going to read from Corinthians, which everyone knows is the love chapter, but I thought it was a really good place to start. So 1 Corinthians 13, if I speak in tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong on a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me. Or when I became a woman. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, that I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these, my Katy, is love.
Absolutely.
The greatest is love.
Yeah. I mean, I heard once, I'm not sure where, but it said that there really are only two emotions:
Wow.
love and fear.
Wow.
I always thought it would be love and hate, one or the other. But where does hate stem from?
From fear.
Fear. Yeah. So I wish I knew where I read that, because it always stuck to me. And I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling any sort of way, it's either coming from fear or coming from love. That's so powerful if you really think about it.
Well, too, I think that survivors have such a hard time with receiving love because there's such confusion in how our abusers approached us, that the sexual abuse they were perpetrating against us was love, was how they loved us. And so you grow up thinking, oh my gosh, what is love? And you
Or how
confuse
they
love
didn't
and
love.
sex.
Yeah.
Yes, or how they didn't love. Of course they
Right.
didn't, but they brainwashed us into thinking
That's what
that
it
was
looks
their-
like. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yet,
it's I try to talk to people that have not experienced abuse sometimes so that they can kind of understand where our thought processes are and why we respond or react certain ways. And it's hard to pinpoint because it's so layered. We talk about this all the time, but just like love is layered. So I've tried to explain it like this. If you've been with your spouse or a significant other for years and years and years, the love that you have for them is different than the love you started out with them. It grew in deeper, where you don't get the little butterfly, although I still get butterflies sometimes, but you know what I mean? It's like it changes. And so we as survivors, I think too, our trauma changes as we grow, as we heal, but it's underneath there where I sometimes don't understand how other people love. But I know that they love, but I don't understand because of, I guess, their actions or their words or the fruits of their labor.
I've learned throughout my life and of course my relationship with my husband, which will be married for 40 years next year. Such a blessing. But I've learned that love is a commitment. I think we want the gushy feeling. We want to feel that love, and I do. It's not that I don't feel it, but I think it's a commitment, even on our hard days and even through our trauma, that we don't take out kind of our stuff on other people, especially those that we love, because we tend to hurt the people that we love the most, that are closest to us.
Yeah, because we're secure in that they'll understand, or they'll stay, or they'll take it.
Yeah. And I think as survivors, we have expectations. And I think I've learned over my years is to have no expectations. That way you're not disappointed.
Oh, that's hard.
And then also in loving my husband, I've learned, and for you, maybe men that are tuned in and listening, and your wife's a survivor, or vice versa. If you're a wife and your husband's a survivor of sexual abuse, sometimes we shut down. When we get triggered, or when we're stressed, or our MO is to kind of get in our little cocoon, to wrap ourselves, to be silent, to not be able to communicate what's going on, how we're feeling, what we're doing. So I want to ask for patience, but I've learned in my years is if I'm wanting a hug and my husband's not giving it to him, then I go hug him. If I want to be kissed or I want affection, I'm the one that has to take down that wall and go get what I want and go get what I need.
Yeah.
And he's, more than willing to give me a hug or give me a kiss or give me comfort.
But not all spouses are willing at times.
They're not.
So
they're not,
that's why it's so hard to take that first step, because the fear of rejection.
But I think more times than not, I think if we are honest and tell our partner what we want, what we need, that they would respond, especially knowing.
Sure. Well, it's
the history.
The history and the healing. Healing has a huge part in that. Like at the beginning of I didn't even know if I was healing yet. I was just living. Oh, there is no freaking way. None, not whatsoever. When I was in a way, you just needed to leave me alone, because I could be really nasty if I'm feeling unloved, unheard, unprotected, unsupported. And it's not the other person's fault all the time. It was just my perception at the time and where I was. I'm not excusing my behavior, but it kind of was, duh.
So for our friends out there, the reason Katy and I sit before you and we kind of open ourselves up is that we're pretty far along in our healing journey. And we work on it constantly. But if we don't allow ourselves to be loved, or even love ourselves, we're missing out on such a precious gift that God has given us.
For sure.
In Matthew, God says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So even in loving our friends, and our family and our extended family, we really can't do that till we learn how to love ourselves. And that's why I wrote... I'm going to do a little plug here, Katy.
Go for it.
That's why I wrote Loving Me.
It's a great book.
Thank you. But Loving Me really was my last frontier, because I really wanted to look in the mirror and love the person that was looking back. And I felt for so long, and some of you survivors can probably understand this, but I felt like I had to perform to be loved. I had to do something. I was a human doing instead of a human being. When I learned that God created us as human beings to sometimes just be and be quiet. Yeah. But Loving Me is really about how I went on that journey of learning how to love myself. So there'll be a little plug on Loving Me that you can learn more and learn where you can get it.
Are you seeking hope and healing after the heartbreak of abuse? The book, Loving Me After Abuse, from author Angela Williams, available on Amazon, is like a comforting conversation with a friend who truly understands. The author shares her powerful journey of surviving 14 years of childhood sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. With courage and faith, she overcame shame and dysfunction to find healing and freedom. Through her story, Angela Williams offers guidance, inspiration, and the incredible message of Jesus Christ's power to heal and restore. Don't walk the path of healing alone. Let Loving Me After Abuse be the guide you've been searching for. Available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Healing is possible, and your journey starts today. Loving Me After Abuse, from author Angela Williams, on Amazon.
Wow, that your book is amazing. I love what you did, how you took your memoir and turned it into kind of a Bible learning, kind of plugging in verses of the Bible that made sense for you at the time in your life, and kind of condensed everything. Your healing. It was funny because when I read it, I'm like, wow, she heals really fast, almost kind of like I need to heal too. But no, it's a book. So it's like we're reading all of your life in one,
my life in one sitting.
But
Yeah,
it's funny
no,
because I was
not
reading
fast.
it and I was like, oh, wow, because you don't know concept of time sometimes when you're reading a book. But it was a tribute to all the work you've done, all the support you've had in your life. And I know it's difficult. Even, I'm sure, well, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me, I remember a therapist told me once, she was going to give me homework. She said, I want you to go to your bathroom every morning and stare in the mirror and stare right in your eyes. First of all, I don't know if you've ever done that, but that's awkward.
Yes.
Why is that so awkward? It's me.
Yeah.
But like I was staring in my eyes in the mirror and I'm like, trying not to be like, look, I'm looking around. Is anyone watching me? But then I would and then she said, just look in there. And when you're settled and you're ready and you're staring right at your eyes, tell yourself that you love yourself. Let's say, I love you to yourself. And I remember the first time I said that, it was so awkward. I felt like I was lying. And I think I was because I don't know up until recently that I really, truly loved myself.
Well, I talk about this in my book.
Yeah.
I did the same kind of exercise with the mirror because I can remember looking in the mirror when I was young and just wanting to just peel off the layers. It was almost like wax of shame that I was under, and I couldn't find myself in there. So they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. And so it took a long time for me to realize, and we're going to have a series on this, but that the abuse wasn't my fault, and that all the lies that my abuser told me were just lies, and all the lies that Satan told me after the abuse ended were just lies, that I am enough and I am a precious person, and I am good and not bad. And that's a lot of what loving me, and that's why I put so much scripture in the book, because we've got to claim truth. We've got to speak truth.
Yeah.
And the word of God is truth over our lives and over those wounded places to help them heal. So I hope and pray that the book really helps people to love themselves. It's loving me after abuse, because when you go through abuse, it changes your perception of yourself.
Yeah.
And your
sure
perception
does.
of others,
And it's so hard to find not only the love within yourself, but to find healthy love outside of yourself.
Yes.
Even for family members, even for friends, even especially a relationship that's like a loving, like a spouse type partner relationship. But I shouldn't say but, and I remember, and again, I've read this somewhere. I wish I would retain the information of where I get these things. But it might have been something a therapist said or shared or wrote down for me. It's like, if you're finding trouble loving yourself, loving others, loving a friend, or having a bond, get yourself a dog.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay. Well, I didn't quite understand what a dog would do, but she told me it's because animals are the only unconditional thing or person or being that loves you no matter what, that are excited when you come to see it. And so as you bond with the animal, you can then start being the same with others.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was the dumbest thing. I'm like, okay, I love animals,
Well,
so it's
that
not going to be hard, but there is something to that.
That unconditional love, to be able to give and receive that unconditional love.
Yeah. And even when you're having a bad day, they're still coming up to you.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I don't want to snuggle right now. And they're like, nah, I don't care. I'm snuggling. So it's like, it kind of breaks down the walls. And if you can kind of take that and apply it to your life.
Yeah. I'm laughing now because I have such joy in my home right now. I have, of course, my Riley, who is my heart.
Wait. I have to say something. This dog, first of all, it's a human in a dog suit. I swear this dog speaks English. I know he understands. What is it's a golden doodle, right?
Yeah.
A big one?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a human
doodle.
in there. I'm like, are you sure there's not a man in there? But the funniest thing that he does, which at first I thought it was a little strange, but now that I know him, every time you come inside the house, he literally smiles. You can see all his teeth, and he just wags his tail. I mean, it is the funniest thing. You know what? Do me a favor. Take a video of him smiling when he does his big smile. I've got to put it in the video because nobody would really understand until they see it. It's so cute. It just,
so what's so funny is now I was going to extend the joy is not only Riley, but I have a 6-month-old. It'll be 6 months on the 24th of January. Yeah. A 6-month-old. So the 6-month-old is trying to get Riley to smile at him. So he's grinning at Riley all the time to get Riley to smile back.
That's so funny.
But too, when I walk in the room, my little one just lights up.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to compare with grandchildren, children and grandchildren.
Yeah. I can't wait for grandbabies.
It's a special bond.
I know. I don't know if you'll see me too much.
Right? You'll be gone. You'll be on grandma duty.
I have to babysit.
Yeah. When you call me, you can hear whacking in the background. It's like, we're playing. But it is definitely that love, and it just grows and expands and. It's the fruit. It's the fruit of the love that Phil and I had for each other, and
I know
it's just the fruit that keeps on giving.
I can't even imagine that feeling. Seeing your baby have babies, that's a goal.
Surreal
for sure.
It's very surreal. Well, you're going to have a lot of them. You're going to have a house full with 5 kids, so
I know.
Get ready.
I know, and I'm holding on to my seat. I can't wait because I had a little conversation with one of my kids' boyfriends.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm very
Put a ring
excited.
on it, right?
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
They told me, so we'll see. We'll
that
see
is
how
exciting.
It is very exciting. So I'm right there. I can taste it. I can already pinch the little baby's cheeks.
Aww.
So I am very full of love right now, for sure. It was a rough year. 2024 was really rough.
I think it was rough for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was. Let me tell you, financially, relationship-wise, work-wise, I was like, literally, God, what do you want from me? Like, you've got this podcast, and then we got shadow banned. So it felt like we were in mud, just trying to trek through it. And then, but what happened through it all is I felt the love that God had for me. I really did. And even though I would panic, and you were there for those moments. I'm like, I don't even know. But I knew without a doubt that God loved me still. And he had me in the wilderness for a certain reason. And I'm starting to kind of see the milk and honey land. We're not there yet. I probably still have some stuff to work. He's working on me. But I don't want to minimize that everything, no matter what. I did feel loved by my spouse, by my friends, by everyone here, even by the circumstances, but especially by God.
Awesome.
Yeah, especially by him.
So if you're struggling to feel love or to give love, that's the first place to start. Just get in a quiet place. I call it your secret place, but get in a quiet place with God and just open his word and just let him love on you. And you'll feel his presence. And sometimes we think we have to be talking when we're praying or we have to be doing something. You can just sit there and just invite.
And know that I am God.
Be still. Just invite God into that moment and into your heart and into that place. And he will meet you right there. He
is that Proverbs 3:5, I think, or something?
He will never leave you nor forsake you. Proverbs 3:5. What's that verse?
What's the one? You're better at this than I am. Because I'm just starting to. I saw a movie, actually. This is a great movie if you want to see it. It's called The War Room.
Oh, yeah, I
with
love that.
Priscilla Shire. And that changed me. I don't have a war room yet, but I have a corner. And at first I'm like, I'm not sticking notes on my wall because I'm like minimalist. I don't like that stuff. guess what's on my wall?
Notes, prayers.
Yeah, and verses that I'm learning, and but it does make a difference, man, when you surrender. And I think that was the key, is knowing that I was loved, like beyond I can even mention or express. But it was surrendering in that love and allowing God to show me, use me, speak to me, heal me. It's been such a dynamic. It's hard to put in words because it was so hard. And yet I feel so grateful that he had me in that hard spot.
Well, you are a powerhouse in the kingdom, and the enemy is going to come after you hard. And I saw it. I saw him come after you time and time again.
Both of us.
Yeah, but we
Touché,
stood up.
because it goes for you too.
Yeah, we just stand. You stand firm.
And you keep going, man.
You keep going.
One step in front of the other.
And we're so blessed to have people who believe in this podcast and believe in the work that we're doing. And just so grateful for Mesmerize Media, for Tim Cahill, and for just the love that he's given.
He's
and
in
Aubrey,
studio. That's why we were looking at him.
Aubrey and Chris and the people that support us, because we don't know how to do all this by ourselves.
Yeah.
And we want to look good on camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they've been a blessing.
Yes, absolutely.
And we love them so much.
We love all of you. We love your comments. Keep it up. I've been on top of them. We're getting more and more. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, and also for sharing your love for us.
Yeah.
Telling us that we're encouraging you, because a lot of times when we don't hear, we don't know, and we're like, is it too much? Is it too little? Is it not enough? I mean, like, where's the sweet spot for teaching and
So we have such a heart for survivors, and we love survivors because we know that there's very few places that they can go and really hear this topic talked about and this subject talked about. So we just want to encourage you guys that we love you. We are here for you, and we are going to do everything we can do to keep providing a platform that other survivors can share their stories. And hopefully you're encouraged. Hopefully you're inspired.
Well, I wore pearls today.
I know, I'm so impressed.
This is like first and only.
Now, I'm a pearl girl. I love pearls.
You like the pearls?
Pearls.
No, I almost didn't want to leave the house with pearls because it's so weird for me. But there was a point in me telling you about the pearls. There's a saying about pearls, right? Oh, my goodness. I need to write these things down.
Are you having a 50s moment?
I guess so. No, but pearls are...
they come from oysters.
Yeah. I can't say that word.
Oysters?
Oysters.
Yeah.
Did I say it?
You said it.
Oysters.
I don't know what the saying is, but we'll Google it.
Kind of like diamond in the rough kind of thing. You have to like put a lot of pressure. But there was something with the pearls too. I don't know. Why did we decide to wear pearls today?
To look pretty.
That's a good reason enough, I guess. Look, it's
pretty.
even dangly. Look,
Yeah.
I'm like, I was driving and I turned my head. I'm like, oh, what was that? I'm like, oh, I don't wear dangly stuff. Maybe I should. I don't know.
It looks good, Katy.
Thank you.
It looks
You
good.
look good too.
Thank you.
And yeah, I love being on the podcast with you. I love sharing. It's not easy.
Well, I think you and I have really solidified our love for each other over this year, and that's been a tremendous blessing because we've had some ups and downs, and to know I'm your ride or die.
Yeah.
You know, and those don't come along very often. I have had two people in my life who have loved so much, and they're in heaven now. And
I got to live up to them. No, but I appreciate you, and I love the fact that for the first time ever, I took something you said wrong, and instead of doing what I normally do and shutting down and not talking and running away and having my little pity party, I called you.
Yeah. So lesson for survivors, we have to communicate. We have to open our mouths and tell people how we feel, because that gives them an opportunity to explain, to defend,
just talk
to
it
share,
out.
just to talk it out. You know, we were silent.
I was crying
for so long.
Yeah, we were. And I think that's another reason is that when you find something that you love and you have a disagreement or a miscommunication or a hurt feeling, I felt like if I said anything at all, I would be reprimanded. I always felt like it ended up being my fault, regardless of how I was feeling. I always felt like my feelings didn't matter. So I don't know. I think that's probably why I tend to brush it under the rug and say, well, it's just my feelings. I'm going to go away and cry. I'm not going to talk to her for a week, and then, it'll be fine. But I didn't do that. And I called you up and I was very vulnerable, cried a lot. My kids are like looking at me like, oh gosh, Mom is crying. What's going on? But they also saw that we talked through it. We solved it. It wasn't even anything to solve. It was just me hearing things, in a wrong way. But
yeah, I hate text. I think text
was tough. Well, I heard the text wrong, I think. And it was
we can do that so often. We read things between the lines that aren't there.
Right. Or we assume. So, so I'm glad that they were able to see that we had a discussion. And even though I was crying at the end of the day, they saw me wipe my tears and go up into the kitchen and have a bite to eat, and it was fine.
Pull up your big girl panties.
And I got to work. And I appreciate you for supporting me, because there are a lot of people who in your lives may not accept that communication and may not be there understanding where you're coming from and just want to be defensive.
A part of loving each other, I said earlier, it's a commitment. It's communication. And it's caring for one another. Yeah. Like, I truly cared what you had to say, and I in no way would ever want to hurt you. And so if something was misunderstood or misconstrued, then let's give each other a chance to explain. Yeah. And
I was also at my brink. I think that day everything had piled on, and it was just it was it. That was the last straw for me. As far as being able to hold it all together. And it was good to just finally cry and let it out,
Well, God gave us these tear ducts for a reason.
It wasn't a pretty cry either. But anyway.
They usually aren't. But God gave us these tear ducts for a reason. And I think that we have such an opportunity in growing and in healing to really to love each other and love ourselves enough to be able to communicate.
Absolutely.
And to know that the other person, and sometimes they may not care, and that's okay too, but you spoke your piece, you got it out. Yeah. And it's okay when we're having those days, those really tough days, for self-care. I mean, that's the days that we got to just stop. Just if it's just to go for a walk or go do something, just to take care of ourselves and say, okay, I can't take one more thing today. I'm going to take care of me and put the oxygen mask on me. And that was part of what I wrote about in Loving Me. I never did that in the past. I would just push through. I would shove it down, push through, and then just explode on someone. And my husband would be like, what the heck? Yeah. Because he's usually the one I exploded on. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. That happens. The people closest, because we know they can take it, which is kind of an homage to them. But at the same time, it's like not healthy.
Not healthy at all.
No, you have to. As soon as something bubbles up, it's always best to just deal with it, not via text.
Not via text.
Well, anyways, I'm so grateful for the love I felt these past few months, and my wish to you guys is that you're open to finding it, because even though you may feel like there's no one out there that really loves you, or that you can find that, you can.
Yes,
you can.
And I just want to say that God loves you. He will always love you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And that I pray that you find love in your life. And sometimes finding love is giving love, and you can receive it. Yeah. So from Katy and I and the Voice Up for the Voiceless podcast, we want to wish all a very happy Valentine's Day. Yep. And pray that your day is full of love and laughter and joy and peace.
And chocolates.
And chocolate. And maybe a little champagne.
Lots of champagne for me.
So I'm Angela Williams.
And I'm Katy Sudanos.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.